Hey, Boaz here with Next Pittsburgh, and we're here in the Byham Theater. This is one of the Cultural Trust theaters downtown, and today we're going backstage. We are seeing how the orchestra pit works, and to explain how all this happens, we've got the operations manager, Ann, here. Hi, Ann.
Hi.
And we've also got the director of theaters and facilities. Did I get that right? John.
Sure did, Boaz. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. So, this theater is over 100 years old now, right?
Yeah, that's right. It actually opened as the Gaiety Theater in 1904. The Pittsburgh Cultural Trust purchased it in the late 80s, and after a couple of major restorations, it was renamed the Byham Theater, and it looks like it does today.
Well, it is wild. I mean, the details are so cool. Especially, I don't even know what's happening in the shells, the tridents. It's sort of Little Mermaid-esque. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe you know more.
We don't know a lot of history on all the faces and the decorative plaster work. We still do have the lovely frolicking maidens on the ceiling that we believe could be original to 1904.
The color is so vibrant.
It is. It's amazing how it's held up. Yeah, and then we have our lovely proscenium arch that has the original plaster work. The colors are not original.
Okay, first things first. You're going to tell us how an orchestra pit works.
Yeah, we sure are. So here at the Byham, we have what we call the small and the large pit.
Well, let's even just walk down to the edge of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So for many productions, sometimes we do need additional seating, but for some, like the Pittsburgh Civic Light Opera's musical Christmas Carol around the holidays, they utilize the small pit that raises to stage level, and then they use that as their set. So you'll see some storage underneath where we store our pianos and some lighting instruments and other theatrical equipment. But we also have access to underneath the stage from the other side, which does give us some great options when it comes to storing all the equipment that's needed to put on productions here.
It's surprisingly quiet. I'm just going to look over the edge here. Wow, this is cool. What a sweet system. Gosh, have you ever thought about filling this all with plastic balls and having a ball pit for one of your children's concerts?
Now you've given us another idea for a new production.
Could be cool. A lot of possibilities. Oh, and it's coming back up. Gosh, this thing is mesmerizing to watch. And I guess, yeah, you're keeping lights and various other things back there. Oh my gosh, I can already tell I'm going to like this.
This is one of our pass-throughs. We actually call it the VOM. And here we can see kind of the back of the boxes, the archways that would have led patrons in.
So they would have been sitting right inside here?
Absolutely. There was seating. And as you can imagine, these weren't seats for sightlines to see the performance. Way back when it was more important to be seen. So you want to make your way backstage?
Let's do it,
Awesome.
Yeah. Wow, it's so big. And so high. Gosh, how high is it? Do you know?
It's about 82, 83 feet up to the top of the grid. And actually, the ceiling was raised, about close to 20 years ago to put in a modern rigging system. If you look at this wall, Annie, you can see we have the modern rigging.
And what does it mean that it's modern?
Well, you see the steel cables. We have now 66 pipes that hang in the air for scenery, lighting, whatever else,
66?
66 pipes.
Wow, does that mean you could have 66 backdrops, essentially?
You could. Each pipe holds 1,600 pounds. So it's really a huge change in capacity. And before that, we had hemp ropes and sandbags. So it was, old school.
Yeah.
Until just a couple decades ago.
Wow. And I'm just really interested in that metal door that's hanging on the middle of the wall leading to nowhere. What can you tell me about that?
So on this wall that we're looking at, there are 3 floors of dressing rooms behind that wall. And the metal doors that you see can actually be pulled aside, and there's a chain motor hanging there that could lift wardrobe crates up, and then we could open those doors and push the wardrobe crate or whatever props or things that might be needed, but generally be wardrobe.
So you're not yet tricking anyone to get them to walk out that door, you know?
No. Those are very safely locked on the other side.
They actually serve as fire doors as well, so it's a safety precaution. So if there's ever a circumstance on stage or even backstage, it's a way to separate those spaces.
So can we like take a peek at some of the dressing rooms past there? And there have been like so many storied performers on this stage, even going back to the burlesque days, you know, Gypsy Rose performed on this stage.
Absolutely.
And more recently, John Legend, you were saying, Lindsey Buckingham.
Yes, James Earl Jones did an August Wilson play here some years ago. Patti LuPone did a one-woman show here on the Broadway series.
And some of those people probably, you know, put their pants on or whatever, put on their makeup right in here.
They were here. Yep. Yeah, I mean, dressing rooms are very simple, but you need space to put on your makeup and good lighting.
This is Annie's cameo when she gets herself in the mirror.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you what, let's go back on the stage, because I think just to point out a couple of sort of technical pieces that folks might be interested in. Relative to the stage floor, it's actually rubberized and sprung. So
It does. I do feel like a little
bounce in it. So we do a fair amount of dance programming here. Our own Pittsburgh Dance Council almost exclusively performs in this space. We have our stage managers area there. So
It looks like an arcade machine almost, like a video game console.
it's interesting because there is a video screen, so that actually is tied into a video camera at the back of the house, so the stage manager can watch what's going on stage as they're back here. But they're literally calling the show, and what I mean by that, they're giving cues to the sound technicians, the lighting technicians, if there's any set pieces or backdrops.
Like Fly Mary Poppins now.
That's exactly right, and it all happens right from there. So it takes a lot of skill to be able to do that night after night. And then, you know, that's supported by our own local IATSE crew, very skilled folks that help us with all of our productions. We have very quick turnarounds, and what I mean by that is there are some shows that literally will load in starting on a Tuesday morning for a 7:30 curtain that night.
What's an example? Like a tour, like a touring musician or something?
Actually, there's some Broadway shows that work that way. So we will prep the stage on the Monday of a week of a Broadway show, but the actual show doesn't arrive until Tuesday morning, and then they take that time from about 8 o'clock in the morning till literally right up to curtain time to build that production.
That's nuts. That's crazy.
Yes, and we do it over and over and over again. Once we're in season, we may have 4 or 5 different shows in 1 week.
Well, it feels like you're like the workhorse, because Ben and them is like, sure, they've got it easy. Hamilton loads in. They're just sitting pretty for 2 weeks while that just brings in the crowds. Here, you got a different show every night. You got, you know, a folk artist one night performing. You got a play coming in. You got a musical. You have I don't even know what, a kids performance.
You bet. You bet. We're really pleased that it's so diverse. The programming is really, but it's really about bringing good quality performing arts here to Pittsburgh, and we're really pleased that we're able to do that.
So we're going to take a look up and see the underneath of the stage floor.
Oh, wow. So you really see all like the joists and everything down here.
So there are 3 layers of sleepers, so that's where you get the bounce in the floor, which you need for dance. It's less wear and tear on dancers' joints.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but this sign says restricted area, unauthorized persons, keep out. So John's taking us somewhere good.
That's why we're going in.
Oh my gosh, wow.
This is really for repairs. So I think we may have mentioned before that the Trust's theaters we're a presenting organization. We don't actually produce any theater. But when productions do come into our facilities, we want to make sure that we're prepared. And if we need to make repairs of any kind, we have the capacity and the ability to do that pretty simply. So again, this is just, we do keep a stock and inventory of lumber, fasteners.
Gotcha. So they're here, a set piece like breaks or something, and they're like, quick, we need a 2x4.
Absolutely. Steve can speak more to this, but I know that we've had to think quickly because, as we mentioned before, we work on very, very strict deadlines. Curtain times happen, and we want to be prepared to make sure we can open the curtain for the shows at the proposed time.
Gosh, have you been involved in any close calls, Steve?
Oh, all the time. It's controlled chaos. Nothing comes right off the top of the mind, but yeah, it's sometimes you're right up to the last minute. The curtain will already be out, and you're still might be working on something backstage that is a few scenes away. It's pretty crazy at times. Yep.
Gosh, that's wild. Never a dull moment.
No, not theater, live theater stuff happens.
Okay, one last question. John, Ann, what is your favorite part of this theater? Favorite corner, favorite room? Any thoughts? It's a tough one, I know.
That is a tough one. I would suggest my favorite part is when that rare opportunity that I actually do get to see a show here is the very first row of the balcony. It's a great visual for whatever is going on stage. The sound is really good there, and so it's really an enjoyable place to see a show.
Well, I kind of have to agree with John. Being in a seat watching a great show is fantastic. But in terms of other spaces, the Cherub lobby just outside the auditorium, I think, is my favorite space because Evergreen Arts was brought in to do a historical renovation of that space, and it's just beautiful.
Well, thank you so much for this really unique tour, and hopefully next time people come see a show here, they'll be able to imagine a little more of what's happening above, behind, below them, sort of all around them. So, yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, great, Boaz. Nice being with you today.